Okay, can we come full wide there, video?
Full wide.
Thanks.
Okay, so here we see a different sea cucumber.
It's more coral colored.
Correct. That, so that kind of fleshy pink instead of the deep, deep, deep reddish black.
Yeah, sometimes I've heard scientists refer to some of them as sea cucumbers and then some as sea pigs. I thought they were all kind of related. Are sea pigs like slightly like a different family than sea cucumbers, or?
That's a good question. I can look in my cheat sheet or taxonomic guides to look at their taxonomy. You can differentiate sea pigs from these other ones by looking at their anatomy and their, I don't know the proper term for them, but their little legs, you know, they look different. But I don't know the exact relationship.
We'll do like a partial zoom or something there, Wayne?
Sure.
Do sea pigs tend to have like more
Say when.
appendages?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good, just like cruise around. And
There's
go
that
move, move,
see
move.
that?
spoonworm. The spoonworm, the long, dark, all these.
Oh,
long
there's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at least.
What are they called? Spoonworms? Hey, what are you doing with your leg?
Yeah, what's going on with that one up there?
What's going on with that little
That's a whole clear
flowy thing
area.
next to it?
You see some whelks there.
We've got Korea, Luxembourg, and Vietnam on board now, too. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, it's not working right now. So we're just hanging out.
Wanna go in tighter there?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Ooh, she's wrinkly.
There we go. Going in. That's full zoom.
Here there's no obvious shimmering. Now that we've seen that highly shimmering area, it's, you know, it's harder to detect the small ones. I think I can see some eggs though, just behind her. Oh, she just covered them up again with her arm. And then there's a little discoloration to the right, and we don't actually know what causes that, but at the other site that we found the octopuses, the other site in the Pacific Ocean, not at Davidson, there was a lot of that discoloration associated with the places of eggs, and so a relationship has not been established, but there's definitely dual observations of the octopuses plus these discoloration, and
Have you been able to collect any of the rock with the discoloration on it before?
Yeah, they did collect some. I don't think the analysis ever was published.
Okay, Wayne, come wide.
Coming wide.
Oh, yeah, there was something under that arm, but again, I wonder if they were
coming wide.
intact.
Thank you.
Full wide.
She looks in better shape than the one that had the already hatched eggs, yeah.
You guys mentioned the female that we saw with the empty eggs was low on physical resources. Viewer would like to know if that means that she might be dying?
Yeah, probably. So imagine sitting in one place for a year at a minimum, maybe up to 4.5 years, and the whole time you're basically just slowly using your storage resources to sustain yourself. And so they're just going to run out of energy and slowly die from that. So it's not moving very vigorously. And we have seen one other dive, an octopus near an aggregation that was no longer alive and kind of looking like it was starting to decay. That's probably what will happen. But you don't see a lot of them, so it's likely that they're cleaned up by other animals down here, because then they become a source of food for other things. So, you know, we're seeing a lot of these shrimp and crabs and snails and fish that could, you know, come right in. And once these females and the males associated with these areas are either
Video, you
dying
wanna
or
zoom in
died,
on this
they probably
one?
get consumed
Yep.
pretty quickly.
Push
You know,
in.
it makes me wonder if the whelks, maybe they can, you know, they move in when they tell an octopus is starting to get towards the end of her senescent life, and maybe they're the scavengers.
Oh, that worm down there is moving. I think I saw it kind of
Out to the left.
either pulling in or, yeah, it's coming. Looks like it's shortening, maybe. It's still very long though, isn't it?
If there's any parents out there, they understand. I only have one kid, and I feel like senescing sometimes.
Did you guys just say this was a worm, the big thing?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, we saw them.
I saw it earlier. I thought it was like some sort of, I don't know, seaweed type of affair.
They're like bigger and longer here than what we saw last week.
Oh, really?
So this, like, the end on it that's out of the frame, this looks like it's bigger.
There we go.
Yeah,
there is some that'll be on the other side of that ridge.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
Wow.
Interesting that is.
Is that,
I've never seen that before. Wow.
I don't know much about them.
are we still in the same position that we were in when we zoomed in on the whelks and the senescent octopus? Or
We're just on the other side of them. That might be them in the top right-hand corner. They're right around here.
Okay.
Did we get a shot of that?
Yes.
Did we get a, okay.
Yeah. And the one with the snails is just to our starboard side,
Yeah, just around the little.
Okay.
Yeah.
just a little deeper.
Yeah, because that's really cool. I mean, it's sad for the octopus, but
It's very
it's a
interesting.
neat
Yeah.
observation.
I don't see any shimmer on this one.
No. You see it?
If you're
so.
just
No.
joining us, the shimmer they're talking about is the caused by the temperature differential and the water
For what?
seeping out of this area is warmed from underneath, sort of like the mirage of ripples that you see on a highway and driving on a hot day.
Yeah, Wayne, I think there is shimmer on the upper right to that one.
You did see some?
Yeah, yeah. We can always go back in the footage later and look.
Am I coming through, by the way?
Yes, now we can hear you. It just
Okay,
came
great.
through.
Later on this dive, we'll be visiting a little place we call the Octopus Spa, and it's two distinct pools, each of them more than a dozen yards long and several yards wide. And that whole body or that whole plateau or pool is emanating this warm water. So especially if we land the ROV, which we will at some point over there at the Octopus Spa, and then you look, the entire frame, even at wide angle, is shimmering. It's because there's quite a bit of water coming out of there.
Can
and
we
these are all individual little conduits, I would say.
Can we push in on the, it's like purple, I think it's another one of these worms, but a different color. Right
Oh,
by
down.
the,
Oh, like
down,
bottom.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah,
See that,
By
yeah.
the
I see it.
crinoid.
near the
is that a-
bruising,
oh,
or
bruising.
bask, is that a
Yeah.
bask
Like
worm?
where's that?
So that's an acorn worm there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Ah.
Let me,
Chad, is that you back
Whoa.
there?
Is that a
Yes.
crinoid next to it?
Look, you can see all
Welcome.
the sediment coming down through the digestive tract
Yeah.
and out.
Wow.
So it's just vacuuming up the marine snow and digesting it. Sort of like, you know, earthworms go through the soil and they kind of digest it and then they pass it, and then that actually kind of, you know, makes your soil nice and fluffy.
Yeah.
That you can see the,
Wow.
actually see the passing through, the sediment here passing through the gut.
That's really nice.
Is this a type of sea cucumber that we're looking at?
No, it's an, what'd you say, Chad? Acorn
An
worm,
acorn
right?
worm, yeah.
Acorn worm? That is so cool.
Yeah,
I've seen
that's
sea
really neat
cucumbers do
creature.
that.
I hadn't
Yeah.
seen one of those yet.
We got some good images.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Do we have the lasers on any of them?
They're on right now. No, they're not. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, we
Okay.
can
Just
Okay, there
maybe
we go.
one more
Yeah,
just
one
for
with
scale.
laser. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So those
All right.
lasers are about 10 centimeters apart.
Yeah.
Got
Yep.
it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, coming wide.
So actually, if you want to zoom back into that spot again, and then look up a little bit, you can see more of that. The shimmering, I think, was above in that.
In that circular
No,
hole?
not in that circular hole. There's more of an elongated orifice. If you tilt the camera up.
So now go up. And
Yes.
Hold on. Let's see.
Is it in this little cubby you're looking? I missed the
No,
first part
up
of
a
your
little
chat.
more.
but in that one, look at all
That's
the
a great
cement.
cubby,
Yeah.
We should get some video maybe of that, some footage of that cubby. And then, are you talking about the one then to the left?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I saw some vigorous venting up above.
Okay.
And while we're sitting here, we'll take a look.
So you want to zoom in here first?
Yeah,
I think
why not?
so. Yeah, I want to.
Okay.
Take a
Okay,
look at this
go
female.
ahead, Wayne.
There we go.
She's so dirty she is. She hasn't moved for a while. Actually, what is all over her?
It's like the
Stuff around her.
stuff around her, yeah.
Do you want lasers in this or
Maybe just
without?
very quickly, let's turn the lasers on.
Yeah, they're on. They're just out of the
Oh, they're out of
frame
frame,
now.
okay.
Come out and I'll put them in there.
Oh, look
Okay.
at that congregation of organisms to the left.
On the coral.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, thank
Got
you.
some with lasers.
You got that?
thanks.
All right.
So let's kind of go focusing on the coral for a second. What's really neat about organisms that are sessile, so that means they're stuck in one place on the bottom, and they stick up into the water column, is that they act as an extra available substrate for organisms that are mobile to sit on and attach to, so that they can reach bottom currents and they can find food floating through the water column, get a little closer to it, and have a better reach at it.
All right, now here's this next octopus. And you thought you might see
Yeah, can
some
we
shimmering
Either
up
zoom out a little or
Okay,
pan
yeah,
up a
come on.
little.
and then pan up, you said?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe I didn't see any. Ooh, what is that clear thing next to that other octopus?
Yeah.
Looks like
I
an
see
anemone,
that.
maybe.
Can you zoom
Pushing
in
in.
on that,
Yeah, zoom in.
please? Oh, and then there's a red shrimp just above it too.
Oh, that's
Is
the
and
first
a well.
shrimp. Oh, and actually a lot of anemones down below it as well. And there's one of those
Yeah,
shrimp.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a shrimp.
Trying to get that clear
I'm
thing.
not sure that's a corallimorph or an anemone.
Corella.
There we go.
Yeah, that's another thing I learned about the last expedition.
I wonder what those what the little white tips do.
Yeah, there's definitely shimmering coming off the top of that octopus.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And a bunch of little cnidarians or anemones down below there. We've seen the similar elsewhere.
If you're just joining us, we are in
there you can
the
see the shimmer.
Coming wide.
Yeah,
a bit.
come wide.
Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary, Davidson Seamount.
All right.
Full wide.
Now this particular shot is different than what they've landed on. These octopuses are relatively well dispersed and they're pretty singular. Hopefully some of the sites that we're going to see later are what Chad was describing,
Yeah.
where you have these high concentrations of closely spaced octopuses almost touching each other and kind of on top of each other.
Chad, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
One
Yeah.
of our explorers has what they call a silly question, but why do octopi brood like this? I don't think it's a silly question. It's kind of exciting.
No, that's not silly at all. This specific genus, which is moose octopus, M-U-U-S octopus. I believe there's 13 or 14 species of this genus. They have this unique brooding posture. As far as I understand, there isn't an explanation as to an advantage for brooding like this. They certainly do appear very vulnerable in this position. It could be something to do with the position of their siphons, being able to oxygenate their eggs a little bit easier, the fact that their mantle can more completely cover their eggs. Yeah, it's not fully understood because a lot of other species, most other species, do not brood like this.
Okay, zoom in there, Wayne.
Zooming in.
It's even stranger because you think if they were going to have their beaks exposed, that it would be some advantage for them to eat, but they don't eat when they are, once they lay their clutch.
Perhaps a protection
So this one also has some
pose.
She looks
sediment,
senescent.
sediment kind of not being cleaned off of her body.
Yeah, definite shimmer
And her-
too.
Yeah. And her hole isn't as clean either. It's not, you know, as black and rocky as some of the others, but we don't see any of those other animals have descended here yet. Interesting.
I wonder, if you like look at a tree, you can count the rings. And I wonder if there's a way to determine an octopus's age, based on that we haven't maybe discovered yet, but if one day we'll figure out a way we can look at them.
I wonder if the beak could be used at all to age an octopus.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Janet Boyd would probably be able to.
What you need
answer
to
those
do it
questions.
effectively is a hard part
Okay,
within
and
the
then what?
animal that is never reabsorbed if they go through a time of low, food, and they're mobilizing resources from their body to nourish themselves. So obviously they need to do that while they're brooding, but if the beak is just, say, built slowly over time like our fingernails or something, but never shed, then it may be used to age them.
Can we get for my own curiosity, can we get a zoom in on one of these cucumbers? Do that?
Let's
They're big.
try and hit it with the lasers too.
Yeah.
See, they are reddish. Let's see. They
The laser didn't disappear.
didn't totally disappear.
So chunky.
It's actually quite a beautiful color. Cranberry, I'd say. Reminds me of cranberry sauce from the can.
I might call that a Merlot.
Merlot.
Oh, there you
Burgundy.
From the bag or the bottle?
The box. Come on.
So what are those, there's two different organisms above it. Two of them are the same, and then one of them to the left is a little different.
The one to the left, a black coral.
Yeah.
Yep,
right.
and then what are the
Yeah.
two above it? Are those
All right,
polychaetes?
let me,
Yeah, it looks like
let
some
me-
type of worm.
I think it's a
Yeah.
sabellid worm of some sort.
Yeah.
I think I can push in just a little bit. That's full zoom there. Really neat.
So we often get a lot of questions at
Good
the
thing, there's a
aquarium
lot to
about
look at.
sea cucumbers being related to sea slugs, but they're
Okay.
actually related to
Okay.
sea
Come
stars
on, I
and
guess.
urchins
Coming wide.
in the phylum Echinodermata, which means spiny skin. And although they're soft, you can see on those cucumbers that they had what looked like spines all over them.
Well, I don't know if this is true of all sea cucumbers, but there are some sea cucumbers that can basically eviscerate their digestive tract and leave it behind to scare away predators and things. I don't know if anyone knows if all sea cucumbers species are capable of that, but it is something that I know some of the shallower ones in California can do. It's pretty strange.
I'm sorry, are you saying they like literally leave their digestive tract?
Yeah.
And do they grow a new one?
Yep.
Yeah, zoom in there, Wayne.
That
Okay.
is neat.
Yeah, that ability to regenerate is one of the common features of the echinoderms. I believe they can expel up to 80% of their internal organs.
Do we have a
Wow.
timer?
Maybe you have a timestamp
A
on.
timestamp? I'm just.
Do you wanna
I was just interested. I wanted to count her
count?
respirations while
Yeah,
we're
get
sitting here, but she's
respiration.
Yeah.
not
Uh-huh.
If you want to, I
slow.
can like actually sit down in front of this one or one of them if you want to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
If it's better, if
up
it
to
suits you. I mean, we got
Jennifer.
time to wait down here while they troubleshoot this, you know?
Is it, so we do have a few things on our collections list as far as surrounding fauna, but with the porch so full, do we not want to do any collections right now?
I think because we want the nav data.
Oh, that's true too.
Thank you.
Good point.
Yeah, you won't know
Okay.
where you got it from.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point. Thank you. How long would you want to count respirations for?
Well, she's not doing much, so probably 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Typically, like at the in my previous experience with these guys, I'd try to use observations that were at least 47 seconds long. It's a funny angle right now because we can't really necessarily, we can think we can tell if the siphon's closing, but we can't really tell if the siphon's closing. So there's 2 ways that we could basically use as a proxy for how fast this octopus is respiring. We could look at the deformation of her mantle, which you can't really see right now, is a good example. And then you can also look at the open-close action of her funnel, excuse me, not her funnel, her siphon. And neither of them are having much option. Oh, you just saw her mantle move a little bit, but she's respiring very slowly. There it is. Yeah, to the right, just above the leg. So we could count those within a certain, like a minute, and that would be a proxy for respiration. So I'll start now. There's 1. 2. I didn't set a timer. Do you have your phone?
I have mine if you want to do a timer.
Yeah, if you just want to just set one, or just turn on the timer, and then once you start, I'll really do a count.
Okay. How much do you want?
That's good.
2 minutes? 30 seconds?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Okay. Starting it.
1. So if anybody wants to follow along, I'm just
2.
counting how often the mantle deforms. I'm trying to get an idea of the respiration rate. So you can count with us and then confirm if we're
3.
observations match.
There it goes.
Or should I not say it out loud then?
No, counting
Giving it
helps.
away. 4.
4.
5.
And one thing we have to be cautious of in taking these observations, now we're introducing a whole lot of noise and a whole lot of light with the ROV, and so
6.
we like to think that we're not going to change the octopus's behavior in any way with the presence of the instrument, but we don't
7.
actually know. So that is something that could be investigated eventually in time, but for now we'll just have to
8.
take what we get as far as these respiration gates go.
9.
If you're following along, we're doing a little
10.
control van yoga here, controlling our breathing. Actually, that breathing rate
11.
is about the same as nice, deep in and out breathing, or at least for my
12.
lungs.
Right? Am I on count?
I think I accidentally wrote down 11, but it happened to work with the 12 because I'm keeping tallies.
13. 14. They're very regular.
Good morning, New Brunswick, Canada.
15.
Thanks for joining us.
Still going?
Yeah, we have about 38 seconds left.
Okay. 16. 17. 18.
For these types of observations, it's really good that we're doing it in one single shot, because if we zoomed out of view,
19.
we may have missed a respiration, and then we wouldn't want to count those if we weren't sure if they happened or not.
20.
You got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay,
All right.
so we got 20
Mm-hmm.
in 150 seconds.
And relax.
Oh.
Thank you for doing that.
What would you
You're
say
welcome.
was the respiration rate of a vigorous individual?
Video, can you come wide?
Coming
I have
wide.
to check the data.
Thanks.
To be honest, I don't.
Okay.
Let me get back to you on that. I don't want to
Yeah,
Full
no,
wide.
that's fine.
put incorrect information out there.
So if we keep panning to the left, those will all be new individuals, is that right? Or oh,
Oh, there's
looks
something
like we've got a
large.
cuskeel
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
checking
Giant
us out.
cuskeel.
That's right.
It's just right next to us. Sorry, were you after something to the left, or do you want to go look at the cuskeel?
Oh, I was just asking if we continue towards the left, we'll be encountering new individuals. Is that right?
Yep,
Okay.
Yes.
that is correct. I turned my head over here earlier. It doesn't look as populated.
Okay.
See this coral in the bottom? It's just in front of us now, towards the baskets. I looked at that earlier. That's
Yeah,
as far over here as I've been. I haven't looked at any of the octopus over here.
There is an octopus up. and
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what's around it.
This one, just above the
Like-
lasers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like me to push in?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had nav most of the way down too.
Looks like maybe sponge. That's above
Yeah,
that?
yeah, to the,
Yeah, above it. Yeah. Okay, that's what was catching my eye.
but this also has something different.
Look at all those little tube worms in the rock.
Yeah, the white
Mm-hmm.
right around it.
Yeah, those are little tube worms. And
What is that slime?
where?
Slimy looking whitish.
Oh, that's a sponge.
The sponge,
Oh,
yeah.
sponge.
Yeah. But there's definitely shimmer going on here. A
Yep.
ton
Yeah.
of it.
Right above the center of the animal and to the left,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It always makes focusing fun.
Yeah, there's a good reason to speculate that if the octopus was to move, that you would see more shimmering below her. They tend to hang out on the holes. And what Jennifer was saying, I think it was Jennifer saying earlier, they potentially, some of the instruments can be moved. If an octopus wants to be in a spot where we put a temperature logger or a probe, they're strong enough they can move them.
Right. And they've been shown to be very, very able to open, like twist off the lids on jars that require a twisting off, and so they're very dexterous with their arms, and so they could move our equipment if they want to.
Yeah, this one seems to be much cleaner.
Than some of the others.
Yeah, I think there's more flow, maybe. I don't know, keeping it clean.
Well, in other places, we've definitely seen the females have very active arm movements, where they seem to be kind of cleaning themselves as well as moving the water around potentially to keep the eggs well oxygenated, and they seem to have not quite as vigorous movements, some of the octopus we've been looking at here, but she is moving around some.
So just to confirm that, we found a respiration rate that we counted. It was 7.5 respirations per minute. And that is comparable to what we found for higher respirations at the other site, which was between 6.7 and 9.7 times per minute. In the fluid and away from the fluid, it got as low as 3.1. And so our observations are consistent with what we've seen at previous sites with this specific genus.
Okay.
Okay, full wide.
There's a beautiful section of rock here, though, with quite a lot of different animals. But not as many octopus, you were right.
But what's
but
neat
maybe
about,
off there in the distance there's some.
we can look at this particular site and we see a lot of those Brazingid sea stars, and so just based strong on general knowledge, we know that Brazingid sea stars feed from the water column, and so this suggests that there's probably some kind of bottom current associated with the shape of the outcrop or the seafloor feature, right? So water might be flowing more vigorously over that particular part of the outcrop that's driving those filter feeding sessile being organisms that can't move.
Right. And
from
along
where
with
they
the
are.
sponges would need that as well.
Yep.
That water flow.
And so
Yeah.
oftentimes you can get an idea of how your physical oceanographic environment might be mapped out just from looking at the biological distributions.
Can we look at that octopus that is kind of at 2 o'clock? It's a little less tightly covering itself with its arms.
Yeah, just above the lasers
Yes.
now.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Zooming in.
I'm curious because it looks like the so the mantle, which is the part of the octopus that's in the center and kind of rounded, seems a little bigger.
She does look quite huge,
And
but she might be full of eggs.
oh, it's possible. We've noticed that in the other areas when the animals were not brooding but out and moving about, they appeared larger, like they did have more, say, brought in water, or maybe they're full of eggs. And so that's why I was drawn to looking at this one a little bit.
And she's also neat because she's actually in what you describe as an upright position.
Mm-hmm.
And I know from the other observations of this genus, there were instances where the majority of the octopuses would be in that brooding position that's typical with their beak exposed, but occasionally they'd flip over into this upright position. So it might just be a temporary thing, and she might go back to the more typical position.
Or this could be a male.
Oh, let's look for
It's
its third right arm.
We're in the wrong position to see
So-
the
Yeah, it's the other
arms.
side.
Maybe on the other side.
A couple of viewers out there, including Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania, want to know if the octopus are sleeping or how we could tell if they're sleeping.
That's a great question. We know that we actually don't know how long the females brood here. It's assumed it's probably minimum a year. Another species was up to 4.5 years. Everything in the deep sea it takes a lot longer to grow. It takes a lot longer. They can live a lot longer, and a lot of times they experience gigantism. These ones aren't, of course, large like that. But during this state, it's I honestly don't know if they're active. Let's say they're trying to brood their eggs, but they're slowly losing their energy over time. So it's probably not a conscious process, and so it's not necessarily something we would refer to as sleep.
I think we'll take the respiration rate on this one as well. Can we hold
Worm's
here?
pulling itself back in.
Yeah.
Roger that. Yep.
So
That's so cool.
okay, I'll leave the zoom at this level.
Sure.
When are, so
Is
when
this
are we starting?
a good angle for you to count, or do we need to reposition?
Okay, there's one.
Mike, a viewer wants to know what's happened to the ROV. What's all that new thing jerry-rigged on
2.
it?
Yeah, better questions for the scientists, but it's a lot of fun. Instrumentation we're going to deploy. Some of it's going to stay on the seafloor. Some of it's sampling devices that we will take and bring back up. So eventually we'll deploy this stuff, and then that should be fun for people to watch at home. And then
4.
and then we'll have the option for even better video, a nice clear porch.
Yeah, somebody asked earlier how we put the team together, and they said it looks like a pretty cool job, and I gotta tell you it is. This is my maiden voyage. I've watched Nautilus live for years, and it's fascinating, and being here in this control van going through this real time like this is just outstanding.
Do you see shimmer?
If you go
I
to
don't.
the Nautilus website, you can see how people apply.
This is
It's opportunity available to undergraduates, graduate students, science teachers, come on in various capacities as engineering interns, science communication fellows, which is what I am. I work at the Marine Science Institute at UCSB, and there are also science interns aboard, and then of course the scientists themselves. Right now we've got from the National Marine Sanctuaries and the Ocean Education Trust and their team go through the interviewing process and decide the teams to put together on each of these expeditions.
The what? The blue animal.
An octopus.
Oh,
Look at
that thing. Hangs on very tight.
Okay, thank you. So that was 13. Could video, could you guys zoom in just to the right of this octopus? There's a little clear thing with like white arms.
To the right?
Just to the right of the arm of this octopus. You're
And
basically
just
zooming
beyond-
in, yeah, on that same
I got
spot.
a little bit more zoom, and I can
Looks like a
kinda
little
bring
brittle
it
star.
A little, oh, it's so
into
cute.
focus.
Okay, thank you.
Serpent star.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys good on that
Just to
little?
confirm, we decided we didn't see shimmering there, right?
I
I
had
did not.
No, I
Okay.
didn't notice shimmering.
no. Coming wide.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna see if there's a.
My phone keeps locking. But here you go.
Chad, any octopus particular you want to look at?
Want to zoom in on that one?
Sure.
That one looks really cozy.
Yeah. That one's got the sweater on.
Okay, let's look, see if there's any shimmer here.
There's a carnivorous sponge there to the left of the octopus. Looks like a piece of hairy tape coming out of the rock there.
So
Okay.
if you're looking at the octopus, look at about 10 o'clock, and there's something that's going down and to the left.
Oh, that very small curve, that like half moon? Or
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That is a carnivorous sponge. Is the name correct?
That's excellent eyes you have, Chad.
The bit to see
We've been,
with.
at sea with Amanda, who's a sponge expert. So we've been trained to
Yes.
see all different kinds of sponges.
Respect the sponge.
You guys will hear from Amanda next, right?
Next
She's
watch.
next shift?
Correct.
Have anyone seen
Oh, and
eggs
you
under
guys
this
got to
one?
hang out for that. Amanda is just
No.
mad about sponges.
You do see
Her
some of that
passion
discoloration.
is infectious.
Are you talking about on the rocks?
Infectious.
Right, that orange discoloration. Yep. I'm not seeing any obvious shimmering.
Do you want lasers on just to get a size on the?
Sure, that's
I have to
fine.
come wide.
They're on. We just have to back out the
Oh,
frame a
okay.
bit there, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Good.
I can sort of hear someone explaining about the carnivorous
There, got
sponge.
them. Thank you.
What channel are they on? Are they in the lounge? Or
Oh, look.
Oh, there
Oh,
we go.
what are
Now
you
we've
doing?
got
Oh, look at
eggs.
those eggs.
Wow, yeah.
Pretty shiny and fairly new looking. So when the octopus moved underneath the rounded part, the mantle of the animal, we saw some white, shiny capsules.
out.
Those are the egg capsules.
Do you want to just keep the camera on this? I guess, never mind, the ROV's bouncing. It's not
Yeah.
to your control. Sorry.
yeah,
Maybe she'll move again. Give us another
We're-
glimpse of those eggs. We can look
yeah,
for some
we're
high
at full
spots.
zoom. I'm surprised Mike can keep it this steady. He's doing really good job. Most pilots I'm with, the only time I'll attempt going full zoom is if we're stationary or landed.
Yeah, I can land out or something if
Do you
you
time
guys
it?
want to do that.
I was just going to count the respirations while we're sitting here, but it's just to make the time pass. It's
I got that.
I mean, this is more
Okay,
steady enough to do that. It's
I'm gonna switch out with Ashley. So thanks, guys. Have fun.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Wayne.
Oh, sorry, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Oh, it's really hard to tell.
it is hard.
She's not closing it all the way.
Yeah.
For a second there, it seemed promising.
Sonar's okay. The gain is just up on it from
I'm not gonna do this one.
No,
before we got down.
Okay.
I don't think so. We can probably, well, let's move on to a different
Yeah.
octopus.
You can turn the gain down on it a little bit. We just knew we were.
Could we try to find a different octopus? This one's hard to count respirations.
I think she's getting settled.
What?
Oh.
It wasn't us. We didn't talk about it.
If you
No,
are
I heard him.
just
He just,
joining
that's a current
us,
suspension.
we
None of us
are
explained it beyond that, back here.
3,400
Not back here.
meters below the surface of the ocean on the Davidson Seamount.
Was
Monterey
it a
Bay
female voice? Was it
National
Amanda in the
Marine
lounge? It probably
Sanctuary.
was. So maybe when you go down, you
Looking
could
at the
tell them
moose
that they need
octopus.
to talk louder. If they're gonna,
We
we'd love
just
to
had
hear
a
it.
switch
Yeah.
out of our video engineer. Wayne has left us, and Ashley has joined us. Ashley, how about a little shout out
Hi.
to the ether?
Morning.
Good morning. Bright and early morning.
Yeah.
We can move on to a different octopus now if everyone's settled in. And
Somebody wrote in there, thankful that green spoon
Full wide,
worms
please,
never
video.
evolved on life on land. As green worms we're seeing are green spoon worms.
Yeah, instead we get snakes.
Yes.
Instead we get snakes.
snakes?
Yes. Tubular
Oh,
creatures.
Okay, so that's the wall that had all the current, right?
So
wanna
these
go
That we
back
were
to
just
the
talking
left.
about.
Yeah.
this particular octopus of this genus and that all look very similar to these observations have been made before we found
Hold
the
on one second. Let's look at the octopus that's like at 11 o'clock. I see a lot of whelks around that one.
Is that the same one
I
that we saw
shouldn't-
earlier?
I don't think so.
I don't
thought
think
it
we've
was-
looked at this
This
one.
Yeah,
is-
it was further to the right.
It was over that, yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
sorry.
distribution of these guys is pretty similar to observations that they had made at other sites that just weren't really that significant. And so
Take up a bit of
their dispersion right
full
now
argus
is
up a little bit.
it's typical of what was seen with these before we started finding these giant aggregations
Okay.
of them.
Yeah.
All right, zoom in there, video.
So this is a second spot with lots of whelks. She doesn't look nearly as senesced. Maybe I take that back.
It's hard to say.
Just, I'm gonna bump the camera up and get that out of there. And I'll come back, frame it again.
Did you guys collect the whelks?
Yes, we've collected the whelks, and my colleague at Mbari sequenced them, and it does not exist in. Oh. You guys
Gen
can't hear me?
bank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
Try
hear
again?
I
you.
can hear you.
Okay,
They're
maybe the
shimmering for
microphone wasn't
sure.
as close. But that whelk does not exist in GenBank, so it's possible it's a new species of whelk. So photographs have been sent to a couple of whelk experts in Italy, so we're awaiting confirmation of that.
What is going on? Is that us?
Yeah, that's
Chad,
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Oh.
just
okay.
what is GenBank?
It's a bank where they put gens. No, it's a genetic library where people will sequence either portions or all of a particular animal's DNA or species DNA, and then it's put into this depository that other scientists can cross-reference their samples with.
Look at
And
this.
so as that GenBank evolves, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be a very comprehensive database of most of the Earth's living creatures' DNA. Maybe that's far away, but it's a good start right now.
Mike, can I take your porch for a moment?
Yep.
Yeah. So cool to see what we have and
Say something
what
about
we
it.
still have.
So if you look at that octopus just to the left of it, you can really, well,
We're
you can see some,
in the dark.
yeah, kind of by the whelks, you can see that shimmering. And a good way to identify the shimmering is when you look at the whole image, is there might be one part that seems blurry to you, and you'll think, oh, my eyesight's not quite right, but that's probably the shimmering, is when you start to think your eyesight's going a little wonky. And so it was really obvious there for a second. It seems to have
Yeah, we'll see it again.
Be a
I
little
think
less obvious
I
now.
can see it a bit.
Are those eggs right there in the middle, maybe? It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's either her eggs or her suckers.
Is there any way for us to just come around to the... Yes, you're like reading my mind. So I'm gonna try and see under her.
Doug up there in Port Angeles,
There you saw some of the
Washington,
shimmering right
said
there.
last year
Yeah.
when we found these, there were only about 50 of us hardcore viewers watching. Within an hour, it jumped to a couple of hundred viewers.
Yeah, now you
A year later, how's the viewership numbers looking? Well, Doug, we are at 70 viewers right now. It's gone up and down from about 66 to 75, so
I can see it going all the way across.
yeah.
So right now, I can, for a minute there, oh yeah, you can see the shimmering all along the bottom of the animal. There, you can
Oh,
see
yeah.
some very
That's
clearly.
great.
Yeah.
What we haven't confirmed is if they're eggs.
And that means she's doing a good job at protecting them.
But we want to see them and how developed they are.
And what is she protecting them from?
Predators.
Well, see these snails around here?
Possibly.
We suspect that they, at a minimum, clean up what's left behind when the hatchlings hatch. So the case around the egg. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were left unattended, that these whelks wouldn't descend pretty quickly on them and consume them. She's also keeping them clean from all this marine snow that's raining down. And we have seen some fish in this area. It's both the giant cusk-eels and some grenadiers, so I don't know if they would potentially come. And
Are squat lobster scavengers?
I think most crustaceans are scavengers,
Yeah.
so the shrimp and the squat lobsters would likely come. So, you know, food is limited in the deep sea to an extent. So when they find a good source of it, it'd probably be kind of covered and consumed fairly quickly.
Adding on to Jennifer was saying that she's cleaning the eggs, she's also kind of tossing them to make them able so that all the eggs have the equal opportunity to get oxygenated. And
Yeah, which
don't
is
get
why I'm
stagnant.
surprised they're not moving as much as we've seen in the past. Before we've seen the arms kind of moving quite a bit, and that seemed to also be moving the egg cases around some and bringing more water flow. But I wonder if you're in a vigorous venting area like this, maybe you don't have to work as hard.
yeah, maybe they know it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
You guys okay on this one, or are you counting the...
Oh, no.
Oh, we're
we
good,
can-
thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Come wide there.
time for a little Nautilus Jeopardy. What is a lovely lemon curd cake?
Layered?
The question was, so I always have to ask, what was the afternoon snack
Oh.
today?
It was a lovely lemon cake.
It was a birthday cake.
Mm.
Yes, our stewardess, Marlene, was her birthday today.
Or yesterday.
Yes, yesterday.
Officially yesterday. All right. Do you want to?
How?
A question to our science team from the National Marine Sanctuaries. Viewer would like to know, how many octopi do you think there are there?
Great question. That's a tough one to answer at this point. We've had very limited time on the bottom. We've been here several times over the last year, but most of our visits have been very brief in nature. A couple of times with the Alvin for 5 hours or less, and with Imbari's vehicle for less than a total of about 6 or 7 hours. And then last year with the Hercules for about an hour. So when you add it all up, we're doing far more in this one dive than we will have done cumulatively. We know that we've seen more than 1,000 individuals, but we've barely scraped the surface of this particular feature on the seafloor.
Want to zoom in
So
there,
it's
video?
quite possible there's going to
thank
be thousands more. It's also quite possible we won't find many more than that. But so for now, we definitely know that there's more than 1,000 and quite possibly several thousand.
It's another acorn worm.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be possible if we zoom out and then you look up just a little bit, you can see the
Well, I was
octopuses
thinking,
in the crevice?
yeah, we should look at all this grouping. So starting with this one and then work our way up.
Yep.
Because there's some above it in a crevice. This one, it's not obvious that we'd be able to, I think, count respirations.
She's well snug in that little
Yeah.
Yeah.
pocket.
She's in like a glove.
Any visible shimmering here, anyone?
I'm inclined to say no. Off first
Yeah, I haven't seen it
observation.
yet. Yeah. Let's keep going up. Can we go up to the next one?
What are you saying?
Chad, you said one of the objectives was to try and do transects of this entire mound here. How large is that transect area that we're attempting to measure?
Far too large to completely cover in one dive. But that's why we're going to systematically, oh, we do have some eggs
Video,
up
can
here.
you come wide there for a
yeah,
minute?
let's come wide
We are
and
going
then
to
go up.
systematically go up and down this feature to cover at least a representative sample, subsample of the entire area. So yeah, if you video can look up there just above the lasers, there's an octopus there. We saw some eggs under her mantle.
Yeah, they need a minute.
Yeah, we're repositioning here.
So just give us a minute and we'll do that. And then, oh look, the one at the very top is moving their arms much more
And
vigorously.
I think you can see the shimmering too.
Uh-huh, and then the one in between, it seems to be in an upright posture.
Yeah,
So
this
these
is
three
very
can be-
characteristic where these rocks are, kind of broken up, or we see a fissure in the wall, and instead of a tiny little conduit, we'll get a whole fissure or stream emanating groundwater.
But there's definitely more area where
Would you wanna
octopus
come wide,
could fit
please?
in here. So why isn't it full? I don't
Let's
know.
get there.
Maybe there's better spots elsewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
In it,
What makes
there's
them better?
One of the questions is, how do these octopuses find these spots? Because we don't know if these octopuses can even see, right? They live in the dark, what would be the evolutionary purpose for their eyesight to have developed necessarily.
Just
to find some of these
bioluminescence.
arrows,
Yeah. But as far
arrows.
as the ground isn't bioluminescent, so
Yeah.
it's not going to help them too much for that. But, you know, it'd be interesting to know if they wouldn't have evolved to specifically feel temperature, but I'm sure that they do feel temperature differential. So, I mean, that could be a cue for them to, hey, maybe this is a good spot. They find some bare rock, and they, before you know it, they're cementing their eggs down there.
Perhaps the cement of previous octopi.
Yep.
Is it possible to zoom in on the octopus that's above the lasers?
Sure.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Sure thing.
We kind of want to look at the lowest one of those three and then move our way up to the others.
Roger that.
Thank you.
All right, video, go ahead and zoom in a bit there. That's good.
So you can see some egg stalks in that lower left octopus just peeking out from under her.
Is that full zoom?
There's a shimmering in
Okay.
there too, definitely.
Oh, stand by, sorry.
Yep, actually this is good. If we rotate around a little bit this way and then what?
There's definitely a lot of shimmering going on here.
Okay. Oh, it looks like some embryos in there. Yeah, right?
Down below.
Ooh, but that
Looks
one.
like there's a spent egg case
Yeah,
there too.
right, above it, so.
So maybe this mop is in the middle of hatching, or several have at least.
A mop? Chad?
So referring to like a squid mop of eggs.
I was
clutch, a
asking,
mop,
is it called a mop? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be a clutch, a squid or mop. So I don't know if you can transfer that to octopus. Yeah, there's some.
Oh, there's an octopus to the left there. You just see one arm.
Yeah, you see a lot of shimmering going on
Oh,
here.
yeah.
There's a little network of overhangs and tunnels and a lot of flow going through here.
Now, octopuses, at least what we've observed, they can fit through really small places, and that's one of the issues they have with not keeping them in tightly enclosed places in aquariums because they can escape. So when you see conduits and holes in the outcrop like this, there's no reason for us to suspect that there wouldn't be an octopus that has the ability to crawl in that. So on the outside of this outcrop, we suspect there's over 1,000 octopuses, but even under ledges and holes and cracks, there might be even more.
Yeah, when we do the wide-angle transects later in this dive, it's not going to reveal those individuals, and so that's just one of the caveats of doing visual transects like that.
So for our viewers who are looking, earlier we saw some eggs that were kind of white and shiny. Here we're seeing eggs that are more dull and transparent and larger, and inside, if you see some black spots, those are the eyes of the embryo of the octopus that's developing inside the egg.
You want to see what's up here to the right as well?
Yes,
These guys
please.
here?
I'd love to take a camera on a scope. Stick it in
A
some of
selfie
these
stick?
holes. Yeah, a selfie stick with a little light on the end. Illuminate some of these conduits.
Can we see the one that you passed over that was kind of on the side?
Sure. The middle one?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
thank you. Is there any way to move around so we can get a more direct view of that one?
Sure thing.
Thank you. There's that kind of movement of the arms that we've seen in the past that we suspect is to jostle the eggs and help move the water over the eggs.
Yeah, most of the individuals at that octopus spa, which we'll visit later, are moving like this and even sometimes more vigorous.
Is the octopus ball pretty flat?
Yeah.
like you were
Yes.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very flat. It's like a small football field and just a couple hundred females there, all smashed in together.
There's some eggs you can see underneath her mantle. They're shinier than the ones below.
I think you were just talking about it, but I missed it. What are they doing? Do you know when they're moving their arms a lot like that?
Well, we suspect that they're trying to oxygenate
Oh yeah.
their eggs and basically just kind of